What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer, Tyler Horka with our Thursday post-Marcus Freeman press conference reaction video. Wow, that's a handful. Folks, please do hit the thumbs up, of course, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done so yet. If you like what you see and hear in this video, and that $10 through August 31st of next year deal is still going on. Sign up. It's $10 and you get access to through the start of next season. So let's talk about the Marcus Freeman's press conference today. Did provide a little bit of an update on Tyler Buchner, who's out for the season with that non-throwing shoulder, if that's the correct way to say that. Words are difficult. Tyler, what did Marcus have to say there?
Yeah, he said he's still on pace to stay within that 4 to 5 month timeline, which was what was originally issued when Tyler Buchner went down with the injury. I guess we're going on a month and a half now, almost 2 months. So he's getting close to halfway through it. But if anyone's ever had a surgery before, you know that those first couple of months are the hardest to get through. So Tyler Buchner has not done a whole lot of physical activity in the last 6 weeks or so, let's call it. He hasn't even been cleared to start running yet, is what Marcus Freeman said today, but he said that is coming soon. And maybe he's tossed a little bit with that right shoulder because, like you said, Mike, this is the non-throwing shoulder. But if he's thrown any footballs at all, I bet you he hasn't thrown them more than like 5 yards. So this is the initial stages of what Buckner is going through. But Freeman said that it has been very helpful and beneficial to Buckner on the mental side of things. He's been up in the booth for these games. He hasn't missed a practice. He's seen Drew Pine run the offense. He's seen Steve Angeli run the offense now as the backup quarterback. Obviously, he's having close conversations with Tommy Rees. So he's been through this before, right? If you read our stories at blueandgold.com, he went through this in high school. So he knows how to handle an injury, especially from the mental side of things. And that's really all he can do right now.
Just a couple days away, folks. Notre Dame at Syracuse, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, ABC. You can find all of our pregame coverage and postgame coverage at blueandgold.com. Next up, Tyler, your question to Marcus Freeman was regarding NIL and new guidelines from the NCAA. Can you – and Freeman was his answer was basically, I don't really know. I haven't really dug into it too much, but can you shed some light on what this new NIL update is?
Hey, that's good on Marcus Freeman, though, that he didn't really have much to say. That means he's spending all of his time zeroing in on Syracuse, and that's important. He actually said Clemson at first. Everybody knows that's next week, but two really big games for Notre Dame, and that's where his mind and his focus is at right now. But as it relates to NIL, basically the NCAA came out and issued a statement directly to programs and said it was basically a refresher. I wouldn't call it maybe updated guidelines like I asked Freeman, but it was a refresher in the sense that they said, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do, specifically as it relates to collectives. They said, if a collective is having some sort of get together or a fundraiser or some sort of campus program, whatever you want to call it, coaches can be there and they can participate and they can speak. They can say, hey, this is an awesome opportunity. What they can't do is donate directly to that collective or say, hey, yeah, I'm putting money in the pool and this is going to pay for this player's whatever. That is still a big no-no. Who knows if that's happening at some programs around the country? I have a pretty strong sense that it's not happening at Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman said in December he wants to play by the rules with NIL, said it in January. He said it all along, but it is kind of cool that coaches can do this. And Marcus Freeman did sound kind of intrigued by it. So maybe once this season ends, if Friends of the University of Notre Dame is what Notre Dame's collective is, if they have some sort of event, I don't know, January, February, March, anything like that, I wouldn't be shocked to see Marcus Freeman at it because it would behoove him to be there because that's where college athletics is going. You and I both know that, Mike. If you're not in this sphere, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, he said he's for whatever helps the players out. But of course, I mean, they're certainly going to play by the rules. Injury updates, not a ton, but good news. Jack Kaiser, Brandon Joseph, Jaden Mickey, 3 players on the defensive side of the ball. What's the latest there, Tyler?
So they're all expected to play. He went in depth on Brandon Joseph, not really on the other guys. It was very surprising to me that Jack Kaiser only played 5 snaps, a guy that's been playing a lot of snaps for the Notre Dame linebacking core. So he obviously had to be pretty banged up because I consider him one of those warriors that plays at all costs type of guy. So he's expected to play. Brandon Joseph, Marcus Freeman said, had some sort of lower leg contusion, and it's not structural or ligament related, but the way it was hurting him. The pain inhibited him from making the cuts that he would like to on game days or being that guy in the secondary that's kind of the last line of defense. So that's why you didn't see him much against UNLV, but he's expected to get over that and play. Jaden Mickey has kind of been out, I guess, for the last 2 weeks, and he hasn't been able to get back onto the field in the last couple of games, but he's expected to play, and that's a big thing for the Notre Dame secondary because when he's not playing, it changes the entire dynamic of that cornerback rotation. You're seeing Clarence Lewis play a lot more than he's been used to. Cam Hart's playing pretty much every snap, and then Tariq Bracy in the middle at the nickel. He has to kind of slide outside sometimes when either of those other two guys, Ben Morrison obviously as well, has been playing a lot, 59 snaps against UNLV. When Mickey is not in there, that's 20, 25, 30 snaps that have to go to all of those other guys. So he's a big rotational piece.
And the last bit of business here, Tyler, was Marcus Freeman being asked about the targeting rule in NCAA football. So I'm going to give you my opinion, and then Tyler, I want to hear what you think, and then you can tell us what Freeman had to say. But for me, targeting should be more like the NBA, where there's a flagrant 1 and a flagrant 2, right? Or it's like a yellow card, and then you can get a red card with the second one. Like, I think that is where college football needs to go with targeting, because there are a lot of minor targeting calls, and then there's a lot of like, well, that's a no-brainer targeting. Mm-hmm. It just seems unfair to have those two lumped together. What do you think, Tyler?
Kind of opens up the door for maybe even more of these, I feel like, though, and there's already been a whole lot. Just ask JD Bertrand. But I do agree that there are varying degrees to this. We see a guy take a run at a quarterback's head or a wide receiver's head when he's a defenseless player out there, and you're like, whoa, you can't do that. That's got to be flagged every time. And then you have the JD Bertrand examples where if you look at both of those, I'm pretty sure it might be 50-50 or maybe even more people are saying, yo, those weren't targeting calls. You had one again last week against UNLV and they reviewed it, and I think they made the right call. It wasn't targeting. So if these officials are policed and the guidelines are out there and they're like, this is what a targeting 1 would be, and this is a targeting 2, then yeah, I think I'm all for it because in the NBA, I think it works to a degree with flagrant 1 and flagrant 2. But even with the NBA, right? Sometimes there's you think it's going to be a flagrant 2 and it's only a flagrant 1 or vice versa. So it's just all so subjective and hard. It's not an exact science. And that leads me into what Marcus Freeman said. It's hard to kind of coach these guys because these are big, burly dudes, and their one objective is go tackle this guy. And what is the comment? What is the brain going to tell you? You got to, when you're going to tackle a guy, you put your head down and you go to tackle a guy, right? But with targeting, if your face mask isn't up and you're leading with that crown of the helmet, that's where they're getting guys the most, I think. Some of these tackles look really clean, and you're even hitting a guy in the shoulder. But if your head is down and that's what you use the brunt force to hit a guy with, you're going to get flagged every time. And that is not just protecting the player with the ball or the player who's trying to get the ball, but that's protecting the guy who's making the tackle, because you keep hitting with your head like that, you're going to have some serious neck issues. So it's just so hard. And that's what Marcus Freeman said. He played linebacker. He was one of those big burly dudes I'm talking about who was, linebackers probably make the most tackles on the field on any given Saturday. And he was one of those guys. It's hard to coach it. It's hard to be in the moment. It's a fast game. How are you supposed to go through all of those steps in your mind when you're out there and the only objective that you have is to tackle a guy? It is really tough.
It's a dangerous game, and these things are going to happen, and then you try to make it safer, but you can't have grown men hitting each other and safe. It's really hard to make those things, to marry those things and make it work. But yeah, college football is obviously going to try to make the game as safe as possible, and good on them. But yeah, good luck to them. All right, folks, please do hit that thumbs up. Head to blueandgold.com. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Check out all of our videos. Appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time.